George.
Can't hear George.
Yeah, okay. We ready here?
Hold on a second.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, February 7th, Town of Monroe Board Meeting. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance. Okay, everyone, can I get a motion to open up the town board meeting of February 7th, 2022?
I will make that motion.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Deny.
Okay, so moved. Community announcements. I'll pass this on to Councilwoman Houle, the Town of Monroe Open House.
Yes, I'm very excited about this. So we're going to host our very first Town of Monroe Open House. We're going to allow new residents who have recently moved to the area to come to understand what it's like to live up here in Orange County, know the difference between the town and the difference between its villages. We'll have a nice big map so that people can finally answer the question of, do you live in the town or do you live in the village? We'll invite members of the police department to come to talk with the public. We'll have members of the fire department and the ambulance corps to come in and hopefully solicit some new volunteers. We'll have all of the we'll have representatives from the senior center, the library, the park. There's so many really, really great things that the town of Monroe and the village of Harriman and the village of Monroe offer that I think a lot of our new residents really don't know what we have here. That maybe they can't find the information, but so I'm excited to let everybody know about it. And I believe we just invited another organization, the Conservation Committee. Hopefully, we'll have some representation there, and get people attending. It's
Chamber will be there.
The chamber will be there. They'll be advertising Clean Sweep. That's right, which is coming up in March.
April.
So it's April.
April.
Yes. So yeah. So it should be a great day. It's going to be Monday night, February 28th, right here in Town Hall, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I look forward to it.
Or any resident from Monroe is invited to that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Any resident from Monroe.
Monroe, Harriman.
The town of Monroe, the village of Monroe, the village of Harriman. Yep.
Good. Thank you for taking the bull by the horn.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Good. It's
Okay.
well, I think something like that is well needed. We've never done anything like that. I like it. I like the idea.
Yeah.
I think that it's time that we're able to get people to understand what, I wish that they had it when we moved up here, because we were kind of,
Clueless.
8 years ago, we were a bit clueless. We didn't know,
They didn't have us, Dora.
well, because I wasn't here.
Otherwise, they'd be really clueless.
No, that's good. That should be a great night. I look forward to it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Before we move on, I just want to let everyone know, aside from our counsel, Brian Nugent, and our town clerk, Valerie Bitzer, we have our deputy town clerk, one of our deputy town clerks, Barbara Singer, who's joined us here tonight. So she's trying to learn the law, so she might fill in for you at a time later in the
That's an easy job.
in the year.
That's an easy job.
So thanks for joining us, Barbara. Yep. Okay. Acceptance of minutes. Can I get a motion to accept the January 18th, 2022 minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of January 18th, 2020.
Poole to second.
2022.
2022.
22. Okay.
Poole will second.
Supervisor, I just want to add that the public hearings are not transcribed for that yet, so you're just approving the minutes minus the public hearing transcription, because there was an issue with the audio that night. So we can bring that back.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So with that caveat, Mary, you okay with that?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Call a question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
And I,
Okay, so moved.
I'm sorry, Mr. Are we bringing up the online vote here? We're not, okay. Because I'm not getting it, I want to make sure I'm not, you know.
Okay,
It's
next
all
item.
about the board docs, I'm trying to, comply.
Next item is the minutes from January 25th, 2022. That was the special meeting which we needed to have in order to meet the requirements for grant, not grant, for the, for actually a grant associated with hazard mitigation plan. Hazard mitigation. I'm sorry, we had to do that in order to get some points for a grant, and we should have done it much earlier in the year, last year, so that's why we did that. It was requested that we do it by the 27th of January, thus the reason we had that meeting prior to the 27th. So,
I'll make the motion.
Bingham to second.
question?
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
I'll abstain, I was not present for the meeting.
Okay. Next up is the audit of claims. So we have, bear with me a second, sorry. General Fund Abstract, number 22-02, containing checks containing checks 28124 through 28175, totaling $441,196.64. So we need a motion to approve that. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
And I,
Okay. Next up is the escrow fund abstract, abstract number 22-01, containing checks 2003 through 2014, totaling $40,767.40. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
and I,
Okay, so moved. On to new business. So local law number 1 of 2022, the proposed short-term rental, Chapter 40. We did close the public hearing last meeting, and we would like to move forward with a local law amending the comprehensive plan and Chapter 57 zoning of the town code, and establishing a new chapter, number 40, regarding rentals short-term, which will establish policies to regulate short-term rentals of dwellings. The only thing I think still that has to be done after this would be to set the fees, which are done outside of this scope, correct, counsel?
Yeah, you can do that by resolution.
Right, okay. So do we have a resolution to pass this local law?
One, but if you don't have it, then we can pull that up.
I have it.
Got it?
It's odd, I have a problem. I was getting some of the detail on the agenda on this computer, but I was getting it all on my desktop, and I restarted. I don't know why that is. So, So am I reading
Just do the be it resolved portion if you want.
the what?
The be it resolved portion of the resolution toward the bottom.
Wait a minute.
Oh, that's the
And this today, correct? I have. That'd be fine.
I'm just going to skip the whereas portions of the resolution. So the be it resolved, short-term rental. So the relevant sections here, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein by reference as if fully set forth herein. For the reasons set forth in the full environmental assessment form, the town board hereby determines that the proposed local law does not pose any potential or significant adverse environmental impacts and hereby adopts the negative declaration in the form presented to the town board. Section 3, the town board hereby adopts local law number... What number? 1. Local law number 1 of 2022, entitled A Local Law Amending the Comprehensive Plan in Chapter 57 Zoning of the Town Code and establishing a new Chapter 42 Short-Term Rentals to establish policies and to regulate short-term rentals of dwellings. Section 4, the town clerk is hereby directed to file the final version of the local law with the Secretary of State and to publish the text of the local law in the town board minutes and any other locations as deemed appropriate by the town clerk. Section 5, this resolution shall be effective immediately, so we just need someone to adopt that motion and then call the roll.
I'll adopt that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Question, have we heard back from the county?
No, I think it was submitted and they did not respond at all.
About 70, 80.
Yeah, it definitely is well past the 30, and they didn't respond after that.
And no response is considered.
But
not
once the
having
30
issued.
days goes by, they have up to basically 2 days before this public hearing where we'd still have to consider their comments, but at this point, none have been received, then there's no obligation for the town to wait, and you can adopt the law.
Okay. I'll call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Pancarello, aye.
Can I?
Okay, so moved. Okay, next up is the Verizon Wireless Facility at 491 State Route 208. Council, this is bonding of approximately $65,000.
Yeah, I saw on the board docs, there's a recommendation from the engineer for the applicant. I would normally recommend that the town's engineer at least review that before you approve it to make sure they agree with the assessment and the estimate of the costs. So if it's not time sensitive, you could put it on for the next meeting. In the meantime, send it to MHE and just ask if they agree with the estimate from the engineer for the applicant.
All right, so resolution. A motion?
Pool will second.
Discussion? Sure. I thought that building wasn't allowed to have certain things on the outside because the DOT wanted certain things not visible from the highway. So since it's going to go to Magui Hauser Etzel, maybe since they were also with the planning board, they could just verify that.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
That's not on Professional Square, is that where?
Yep.
Add that into that motion that we are going to refer it not only to the engineers but to the planning board to see if there were any.
That's fine. I thought the planning board actually, did they comment on this already?
I think the planning board looked at it and kicked it
Zoning
down
board.
to the ZBA, and then
Yeah.
the ZBA is then now sending it back for our approval, although I think we should get a determination from the town engineer what their thoughts were on it based, especially regards to DOT and 17 and all that.
And this is.
And they may have already considered it, I just don't know.
Are we
We don't
talking
know.
about the same one here? You're not talking about the Verizon aspect that was over by Meadow Glen, are you?
That's different.
No, I'm talking about the Verizon on Professional Square on 208
Okay.
across from, yeah.
And this one that we have before us, this is a bond to remove items from the cell tower.
Yeah, there's typically a removal bond is what's posted, so if
Right.
and when it gets taken down, the money is there. If they don't remove it, for the town to get it done. There's no harm if you want to make it subject to confirmation, with the planning board. It does indicate in the letter that was attached that the planning board already approved this, but if you're going to send it to MHE anyway, you've got time. You can certainly, have somebody confirm, or Councilwoman Bingham, whoever wants to do so, that issue at least be inquired into.
Do we want to just table it to the next meeting and then take it up with the town engineer to make sure that it passed their muster?
Well, that's essentially, I guess,
Yeah, the MHE thing you're doing by resolution, I think Councilwoman Bingham's concerned, you don't really need a resolution for. Anybody can reach out to the planning board or whoever and confirm that issue's been addressed. But I think the MHE, if you're going to authorize them to review it, you just want the resolution for that purpose, and then you'll have until the next meeting to inquire on any other issue.
sounds good. Call the question on the
Bingham, aye.
Full aye.
Cardone, aye.
Oh, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Next item up is the Monroe balancing test for Somni Restaurant. So Somni is in the process of going approvals in the village for, there's a special permit that's needed for their restaurant at the former John DeAngelis building, our former court. Brian and I had spoken, and there were some concerns regarding the time frame and the actual oversight, which I guess were brought up by the village. There was an agreement back in November of, I want to say it was 18 or 19, regarding the fact that the village would have oversight of the outside of the building and the town would have the oversight of the inside of the building. So we're referring to everything that's going into the building. There's no plans presently for any refurbishing or renovations on the outside of the building, and thus we want to be sure that a tenant, who was currently our tenant, is provided the best path to get those approvals. I will let council describe a little bit about the balancing test so that there's an understanding for the public what it entails.
Sure. So, contrary to its name, the Monroe balancing test doesn't have anything to do with the town of Monroe. So the Monroe balancing test arises from a case in Rochester in the county of Monroe where there was an airport being built by the county within the city, and the question was whether the zoning regulations could be applied to the municipal project on the county's behalf within the city's jurisdiction. So out of that case became these questions that come up about immunity from zoning and whether or not if the town, and I'll give you an example that we actually dealt with previously, was this town hall itself was the subject of a Monroe balancing test because it was the town, renovating and acquiring a town hall for town purposes in the village because this town hall is in the village of Monroe. So this particular use, the resolution that's before the board, goes through the background of and a balancing test of the various factors. There's 9 of them in this Monroe balancing test that you look at. In this particular resolution, we haven't completely said that, we're disregarding the village's law. The way this is structured is to say that, the restaurant use in the town building should be exempt from the Village of Monroe laws, but that, we want to comply to the extent that we can without the project being stopped. For example, I believe they have a special use permit form or land use permit form that gets filled out So this resolution just kind of ensures that the project's not going to be stopped, by the village, by some local zoning code. For whatever reason, the village has a special use permit for restaurants in the central business district. My understanding, it has something to do with controlling times of the restaurant or live music. Most places do that by permit outside of the use, but in any event, obviously, I think if you look at the central business district in the village of Monroe, restaurants, pretty common use. And, by doing this resolution, it doesn't necessarily mean that the town's taking a position that they're not subject, or that this restaurant should not comply with, reasonable time restrictions or live music requirements and other things like that. This is really to promote, and as set forth in the resolution, in light of COVID and the crisis that sort of happened with restaurants over the last year and the number of closures, and there's some background facts in this resolution about the number of restaurants that have closed over the last year or two, the surveys that were done by the New York Restaurant Association, and the kind of crisis that restaurants are facing. This is an opportunity economically to bring a good quality restaurant, which is already in existence in Blooming Grove, that would be coming into the village and operate in the downtown. So this resolution would basically balance those factors and indicate that the use in the town building should not be subject to the village's zoning code, but also acknowledge that the town does desire, to the extent practicable, to work with the village and kind of balance things between the town and the village to make this go forward. That's pretty much the gist of it. I don't know if you want me to read the whole resolution, because we'll probably be here for another.
I was thinking you just read the sections.
Yeah, we could do the be it resolved portion of it. There are 9 factors that are set forth, and obviously anybody in the public can get a copy of the resolution. But the 9 factors are analyzed in the resolution in addition to the background as to why the town is proceeding. And then at the end of it, there is basically the sections, that's the substantive portion of the resolution. If you prefer, I can read that again, and someone can adopt the motion. Or if somebody else wants to read, I don't want to take all the fun.
Okay. Were you going to read it again?
George.
Somebody doesn't like this resolution.
Yeah.
Is it everybody? I'm going to mute. Oh, is it mine?
Oh, he muted them all. I think he reset them all.
Still.
You want, so do we,
So are you reading?
Yeah, I can read it. I'll
Go ahead.
start from the section 1. So, in a nutshell, there are the 9 factors, those are the balancing factors that are set forth in a resolution. They are part of the be it resolved, but I don't, again, as the board has the resolution before it, there's no legal requirement that you read the resolutions, so long as the board has them and they're available to the public. But I will read, after the balancing factors, the 6 sections that basically adopt the resolution, and then somebody can adopt that motion. So section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein by reference as fully set forth herein. Section 2, the town board determines that the village officials have previously accepted the town's conducting of inspections and addressing enforcement of state and local building code issues on the interior of town-owned buildings in the village. The restaurant use is a permissible one in the CB zone, but the town desires to provide an analysis of the County of Monroe factors in any event. After a review, Section 3, after a review of the record and an analysis conducted pursuant to County of Monroe, that's the name of the case, the town board hereby finds that the restaurant use within the town-owned building should be immune and exempt from the applicability of the Village of Monroe Code and related land use and zoning regulations with respect to the establishment of such restaurant in the village, because the proposed use is, for the reasons set forth herein, a use beneficial to the public interest and promotes the health, safety, and general welfare for the reasons set forth herein. Section 4, notwithstanding the determination in Section 3 above, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to work cooperatively with the proposed restaurant operator in the Village of Monroe to facilitate a cooperative effort at addressing the concerns set forth herein and supporting the vitality of a local restaurant business in the village. Section 5, the town clerk is hereby directed to transmit a copy of this resolution to the village board for the Village of Monroe for further actions consistent with this determination of immunity. Section 6, this resolution shall be effective immediately, so someone would need to adopt that and call the
I'll
roll.
adopt it. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
And I,
So moved. Okay. Next item up, you have the paperwork in front of you regarding the 16 Mercury Avenue request for town water access. So this is there's a copy of the map where they are. I think this is not, obviously, I don't think going to be approved tonight because structure expense. Back 2 years. Required to pay to come in the district, although they are adjacent to the district, they have not been in the district. So that
I've been
said,
paying taxes, right?
what's that?
Haven't been
Well, no, that's what the operating and maintenance is in the taxes. It was 1,900 this year and 700 and change last year, so, that's where we're at. I'll go back to
Right, and I had asked Val to look up the formation of that district too, to see if there were any special reasons why this parcel was not originally included. I think it might have been part of a subdivision originally, and I'm not also sure, this is for 20, let me see, 13.5 acres, this microphone, 13.5 acres.
one of the concerns that I would have is that it's for one.
For one
Yeah.
house. And maybe an outside water user agreement might be better. Okay, so
Definitely.
we're going to work on this together then.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
That okay. Sure. Second. Question.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
And I,
Okay, so move. Next up, we received a letter for the bar appointment of Beth Curtis. She has an interest in serving on the bar. She's the only request we received. I don't have the letter, like I don't have that information on there. So basically, Beth Curtis, who wanted to reach out for the position of Board of Assessment Review. She's been a resident of Monroe since 2014 and has 2 kids in the school system, one in the middle school, one in Pine Tree. She loves Monroe, and this position is an opportunity to serve the town. So if you need additional information, I look forward to the opportunity to serve the town with a position. So, I'd like to approve. Motion to approve Beth Curtis.
Slot number 1.
One, right? Okay. So slot number 1 for a period of 3 years.
September 30th, 2020.
That's when it expires?
Here in 8 months.
All right, so for the lot number 1, which the term expires September 30th, 2023. I'll make that motion.
Poole will second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Okay, part-time assistant building inspector. We interviewed this past week a gentleman named Mike Garrity. And
Matthew Garrity.
I'm sorry, Matthew Garrity, who Ben was very pleased with. He has recently received his certification, which was completed in January. At the time we interviewed him last week, he had not received a certificate yet, and the certificate came in on Monday. So we do have his certificate. Ben would like to hire him at a rate of $26 per hour for no more than 17 and a half hours per week. He will assist in code enforcement and anything else having to do with the building department as he sees fits. So, effective February 14th, 2022. So I would like to make that motion.
Second for discussion.
Go ahead.
So just real quickly, I looked over his application and his resume, and so this is his first foray into being a building inspector?
Yes.
For the most part. And what does Ben currently envision him, like what his primary duties and responsibilities?
I guess minor code enforcement, having to do with anything with homes and the possibility of, once we get rolling on some prospective larger developments, that he would maybe be assigned to that specific, area. That's, basically, I mean, they are inundated with, I know they're inundated with applications for renovations, improvements, and dealing with the COs. I mean, I've seen Mark on multiple occasions over the last week just having to incorporate some Zoom approvals versus actually going out because, number one, of the weather, and number two, the time frame.
I mean, I would just, again, he is brand new, and like I said, he's got a good pre-building inspector resume, but it's, I would just like to, stress, and I know you understand that, but that the building inspector has some type of formalized training program, that he's getting a good, between Ben and Mark, he's getting a very, thorough, in-depth, again, because you're right, we could have some larger projects coming down the pipe where you need someone that's really going to be able to grasp these issues, so.
I mean, he was very bright during the interview, and his experience, I think, lended itself to the structure that you have to deal with in the building department. I mean, he had he's been teaching automotive classes up in he just thought it was time for a change, and somebody recommended he get into the code enforcement, and that's what he did.
So I assume he retired from BOCES?
Yes, he's not.
So so obviously.
Yeah, he's not there. He's been pre-approved by civil service. Does not have to come off the list because he's part-time. And from what I understand, he intended to take the next test when it was offered for civil service. So, all right. Motion, Councilman McGee seconded it. Question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Own aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. So, Town Hall meeting room for an Eagle Scout ceremonies. So Anthony Roberts and Matt Corrado both did Eagle Scout projects for the town. Anthony did the flagpoles outside here, and Mr. Corrado did the picnic tables over at Orange Rockland Park. Both great projects. They were very thorough during the whole process, and we were very appreciative and are very appreciative of what they did. So they'd like to hold their ceremony here in Town Hall on March 20th. And I would like to make a motion to waive.
I'll second it.
Everyone will get an invite? Well, I see Kathy Corrado. Yes.
Yeah.
This town, I mean, that entire troop 440. Listen, I would say anytime they want to use this
Oh, yeah.
hall for whatever, I
can.
mean, within reason, of course, but whatever they want to use it for, I think we would be remiss in not approving it.
Agreed. Okay. That said, I made the motion.
Yeah, I seconded it.
You seconded it, all right. Sorry. All right, so call the question.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Next item under old business is that we rejected the bids for the senior center security improvements, which has a U.S. Department of Homeland Security grant, and we want to authorize the town to go out for rebid for improvements at the senior center. I'll turn it over to Councilman McGinn because he's been working diligently on this project.
Okay, so yes, at the last meeting, we did, again, we canceled the bids basically because they were, we found that they were kind of all over the place as far as amounts and what services they were providing. So we used the town's consultant, similar to when we did the security systems for Town Hall here, to come up with a very narrow parameter on what types of equipment, where they were going to be placed, and what we were looking for. And so that's what we have come up with. Couple of issues that just need to be a little fine-tuned on the RFP. I was emailing with our able and great town council this afternoon before this meeting, but there's still some things that need to be worked out. So I would like to make a motion that we adopt the RFP in a form acceptable to the town council and town attorney, and that the town clerk set the dates for return, for posting it and return and opening.
Do we have to set the dates?
Yeah, we would be authorizing the clerk to do that once the documents are ready.
And I'll speak with Val, and my thinking is that we'll probably do 45 days from issuance and 60 days from acceptance. So they'll have 60 days to accept to complete. I think there's some time constraints on the.
Yeah, there's time constraints.
Yeah, but I think we're still good. I think we're well into the July or August or something.
Yeah, I would
that.
like to put the time constraint in
Oh,
there.
me too.
That's got to be done by like
I know
July.
Miss Morris is very.
Yeah.
Miss Morris is very, very
Concerned.
concerned and wants. Yeah, boy, I was trying to not get myself in trouble. But yes, so I think if we go with those time frames, I think we'll be well within the the due dates. And I think this will be a much fairer RFP because it has all the everything's very spelled out on what needs to be done.
Okay, so you made the motion?
I'll second.
Discussion.
Bingham, aye.
All aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Public comment.
Board Brower?
Come on up, Ward. Good to see you again.
My sentiments exactly.
Ward Brower, Conservation Commission, also a private citizen. On the commission, our attention was concentrated on a project off of Lakes Road, across from the composting center. It's a Meadow Hill development. It's been on the planning board agenda for a couple of years now. And that project's quite extensive. It goes through Monroe and into Chester. The significance of that is back where the former dump was, now recycling or whatever, electrical plant, whatever, that topography rises considerably. And a lot of water comes down off that hill. And 3 streams go underneath Lakes Road and feed this area, creating wetlands. And these wetlands, unfortunately, they don't respect town boundaries. They go on where they want to go. So that wetlands goes into Chester as well as Monroe. And in Monroe, we're sort of unique in a way. We Army Corps of Engineers at the federal level regulates wetlands. Then we have state level. And the state level has a quirky thing they've been trying to change for eons, in that they don't regulate wetlands below 12.4 acres. And the reason for that was 30-some years ago, when they did the overflies over, the technology was so crude by today's standards, they couldn't get a resolution smaller than that. So that's the only quirky thing about that. They've been trying to upgrade the standards where they get down to more specific, but every time they come, some fly gets in the ointment and never seems to pass. But that's the state level. Now we're unique in that we have a local wetlands code, Chapter 6, 56, I should say. And it does pretty much dovetails with all the other wetlands codes. Its unique feature is that it has a decent buffer zone. Okay. Now, when we get into Chester, they don't have such a thing. So our attention was brought by a gal named Tracy Shue from the Protective Society. I'm misquoting her organization, but anyway.
Preservation Collective, yeah.
You got it.
I know what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. So she brought our attention to this. There's another unique thing in that the Appalachian Trail is right down the road from this project, and the Highland Trails runs around that project. And the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, they are in the process, supposed to have they would like to get that trail off the road and into these reserved wet areas, or preserved areas. And they're trying to do that. So if we could maybe, that's where I reached out to you guys, because you guys are the big guns in town. I bring it up to the planning board, but they would say, defer to the town board. So this is always a long shot, but we'll reach out there. If you guys could reach out to Chester, say that we could work together on this, and so that we can preserve these wetlands and get these trails possibly relocated. Preserving wetlands, well, there's an old adage out there. When you fragment something, you are detrimental to conservation. So if you can keep it in its entirety, you're better off doing that. And if we could work some agreement on that. Now the trails are unique because people who use the trails or frequent the trails are not hobos. They are mostly, for the most part, fairly well endowed people, and they come through Monroe and they take our food or buy our food, sometimes lodging. So it's an economic, so it's a green, and dollars are green, and environmental green. This is a concern. And the commission agreed with Tracy, maybe we should try to forward this cooperative agreement. And we have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Chester, the same thing. They benefit from these kind of agreements. I've never seen a municipality suffer from having a major trail such as the Appalachian Trail, which is the main on the East Coast, is the main one, and the Highland Trails. So if we maybe could work somehow with the planning board and their planning board, and maybe get something going, I don't know.
So, Ward, just so you know, so I exchanged emails last week with Tracy Shue on this, and prior to that, I had exchanged emails with Bonnie. And Councilman McGinn thought it was a good idea. We're going to be at the Moodna Commission meeting tomorrow night, and he thought it was a good idea to try to discuss it and bring it up at that point.
I'm glad you're doing it. As I said, you guys are the big guns in town. I've reached out to you guys.
Yeah, so, yeah.
We need the help.
I mean, it would be great to see Chester, the town
Oh.
of Chester, adopt a similar wetlands code to ours, you know, out of Chapter 56, which would be easy enough to do, and I guess that's something we could discuss with them, whether.
Yeah, one of the hesitations on the planning board, which is why they deferred to us, was that it seemed like Chester wanted to maintain or obtain ownership of the actual trail. I don't know what that entails. I did want to talk to council about that to see which was more beneficial for us.
Yeah, I'm open to any kind of exploration, you know. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of the good things about Monroe is a drawing card, you know. We get people from all over the world. They come in there. So.
Ecotourism is where it's at.
You got it. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
pretty much what I have to talk.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ward. Thanks for your
Thanks,
work
Ward.
on the commission, too.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ward.
Ward, who do you like in the Super Bowl?
Don't get me on the Super Bowl. The only thing no, I'm not going to go there.
What are you gonna eat during the Super Bowl? Let's ask that. That's an even better question.
No. I made a resolution years ago. Don't start eating at Super Bowls. You come away 50 pounds heavier than when you
yeah.
started.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
I can't
I try
stop.
not to
with that.
drink
That
after.
food
That
is so
doesn't really
great.
work
Sal
usually.
knows that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
addictive. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
Ward,
Ward.
thanks.
Thank you, Ward.
That's all for public comment.
It's all for public comment? Okay. We have to go into executive session if nobody has anything else to add to discuss legal litigation. That's the words I was looking for.
And
That's what
personnel.
I'm here
I
for.
should have
Mr.
just looked out to
Supervisor.
Don and Pat. They would have given the right.
We also have a personnel matter.
Excuse me?
We also have personnel matter regarding separation of
Yep.
employee.
So I'll make a motion to discuss pending litigation and a personnel matter as we move into executive session.
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Yeah, McGinn, he's got to get his hot wind out, you know. Yeah, I knew what you meant.
Yes.
There's no decision being made, so we could do it without McGinn, right? To come back
I
in.
know, we just, you want to do I would do two resignations.
All right, I'll make a motion. George, I guess you're ready? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Let me get it.
Wandering in the hall.
Okay, I'll make a motion to return to the regular scheduled meeting and come out of executive session.
Bingham to second.
Call a question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. At this point, I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation letter of January 21st from Alex Travato.
I think Supervisor, that was the 25th. If you want, let me just state them and then
Yeah,
you can
why
adopt
don't you
them.
do that then, yeah.
So the first resolution will be to accept the resignation of Deborah Argianis, dated January 20th, 2022, with her last date of employment being April 1st, 2022.
Motion,
Second.
question?
Hingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
And I,
So moved. Next resolution?
Second resolution will be to accept the resignation of Alexandria Travato on a letter dated January 25th, 2022, with her last, from the position of part-time clerk in the building department with the last day of employment of Tuesday, March 1st, 2022.
Question?
Hingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
and I.
So moved. Any other business before the board tonight? No, sir? No? Okay. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Question?
Hingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
And I.